Son of a... Welcome to this issue of Mad Murphy, where I take a few topics that are pissing me off and simply rant about them. I'm in no way an expert on any of these topics. These are simply my opinions based off what I've seen, read, and heard. And if anything I have to say angers you, just get over it. If you wish to make a counterpoint on any of these topics, please feel free to email me with the WHP contact form at wellhey.com/contact, or simply add a comment to this video. I will not and absolutely refuse to address any idiot who wants to start a screaming match with me by starting off including or ending with insults. These are just my opinions, just as you are entitled to yours. So if you want my respect and have a mature debate, then you may want to start off with some respect as well. You ready? Let's dive right in. Whew, boy, it's been a while since I cracked open the anger trunk and rummaged around inside. I hope all of you have had a happy new year and have fully recovered from the festivities, because this one might knock you back a peg or two. Now, I'm going to be the first one to admit, I have anger issues. But I also think those anger issues make a huge part of what's me. I know for a fact that I'm not going to get rid of all of them. Why? Because there's nothing wrong with getting angry, as long as it doesn't make life difficult for anybody else. I've had my moments of that, believe me. I have stories that are locked away permanently, because they would incriminate me. So I've come to terms with the fact that I have a short fuse and a hot temper, and I'm pretty sure most of you know this by now. So why on God's fucking green earth would you want to invoke that shit, you dumbass? Are you just that idiotic? Are you deaf? I have, on average, at least one anon a day that thinks it would be cute and funny to push all my buttons at once, simply by poking and poking and poking and poking the bear. And then I explode on them, and they have the audacity to play the fucking victim. So I tear them apart more, and they leave the arena crying, "Murphy's an asshole, he hurt my feelings." Let's look at this logically. You see a grizzly bear sleeping in the woods, minding his own business, and you're filming it. Okay, it's key that this event is documented, because this will come into play later. You see this bear and you think, you know what would be super hilarious? If I kicked that bear right in the ass. Your friends say, "Don't do it, man, it's suicide." But you wave them off saying, "Nah, it'll be cool, just watch." You hand over your camera, you sneak up on the bear, and land a healthy punt to his hairy hindquarters. This, of course, wakes up the bear, growling in pain, and then you stand there like a fucktard laughing at him. Then the bear does something that shouldn't be surprising at all. He mauls you to death, and your friends have the whole fucking thing on tape. Of course, your friends will try to spin it that the bear mercilessly attacked you without provocation, but the whole thing's on tape. And they chisel into your headstone, "The dumbass kicked the bear in the ass and got himself killed. Rest in peace." You kids need to treat people the same way. If you know someone has a tendency to blow up when you poke at him, why would you do it when he has a nearly perfect win record against other idiots who have done the same thing before you? The dictionary definition of insanity is following the same course of events expecting different results. Well, the results are never going to be any different. Never. If you poke me, I punch back. I don't have time to fuck around with you noobs. Now, I know there's going to be some schmuck that'll put in the comments, "Well, Murphy, you know they're just doing it to get a reaction out of you. This video is exactly what they wanted." And to that guy that says that, fuck you! I already know why they're doing it. I'm just warning them. Don't. Just don't. I don't have any problem going back to prison. Just because you don't think what I'm arguing about means much to you doesn't mean it's not worth fighting. I had some peon tell me that just because bullying has always been around, that it's pointless to argue about it, because it'll always be there. Tell that to the thousands of slaves that Abraham Lincoln fought to free. Yes, we have a ways to go before we can call the civil rights movement a victory, but my God, think of if the South won the Civil War. This would be a completely different country. We'd have no decent music, no funk, no soul, no rhythm, no peanut butter, no light bulbs, no gas masks, no traffic lights, and no super soakers. We'd be in the throes of mediocrity and Budweiser, but that's besides the point here. If you just happen to think that anything I fight for is futile, do us all a favor and get the fuck out of my way and let the real adults solve the problems. You are an obstacle, a nuisance, a speed bump, and nothing more. You are the kind of lethargic, apathetic, useless person that has this country in a stranglehold because you're too lazy to do anything. And if anything needs to get done, you always fail because as soon as you need to put any effort into it, you just give up. We don't need you. We need people who are willing to put forth an effort. People who are willing to try and fail and continue to try and fail until they succeed. We need people who are willing to get their hands dirty. We need people who can think for themselves both inside and outside of the box. I've seen this a lot lately, and it needs addressing. People that scream, "I am open-minded" the loudest, usually have the narrowest field of vision. Oh, of course, they are tolerant of everything they understand in their world. But as soon as you introduce any foreign notion into their ever-understanding world, they turn into the biggest bigots and hypocrites. They are extremely tolerant of everything that they say they are tolerant of. They understand what it is, how it works, and are completely fine with it. When you introduce something that they don't understand into their mix, they are usually the quickest to judge and the harshest with threats and insults. Organized religion has the brass ring on that. You've probably heard it from George Carlin before. What? Your God has a bigger dick than my God? Bomb that brown guy! It's a slippery slope when you claim and claim and claim that you're such a good, patient, caring, tolerant, and loving individual. Stick that idiot on the city street right in front of someone who's begging for enough change to get a cup of coffee, and where does that compassion go? Open-mindedness is not an understanding and tolerance of everything you know. It's an understanding and tolerance of everything. Open-mindedness is seeing something completely different, maybe not understanding it, but having enough common sense to attempt to understand it by listening and asking questions until you do, then forming a personal opinion of it. If it's cool with you, that's awesome. If not, then leave it alone. That's open-mindedness. Not just saying you're open-minded and then thinking that everyone outside your comfort circle is wrong. Of my years on Tumblr, I have really only run into one individual that gave me a moderate amount of grief about this. This self-proclaimed tolerant person would attempt to chastise me for my opinions, my views, and my language, because I use certain words that in certain contexts have certain definitions, and even though I was not using said words in said context, that still made me a horrible person. This is a person whose blog states that they are a feminist. True feminists, being the epitome of tolerance and understanding, proceeded to call me white cis scum. How's that for tolerance? The most laughable thing about this onslaught of ridicule is that this person is a teenager, and on the younger end of the teen spectrum too. I think it's highly entertaining when a sprout loves to tell me how the real world is. Move out of mom and dad, scrounge for rent, collect unemployment, raise a child, pay bills that seem to always escalate, then tell me how the real world is. After the first wave of attacks, if you could call them that, I volleyed back. Like Godzilla vs. Bambi, it wasn't long before this blogger was toast. After proving them wrong time after time after time with these newfangled concepts called common sense and logic, they finally issued a public apology. It would have been nice if it weren't the kind of apology that instead of just apologizing, included the words, "So it looks like we were both at fault." No, kid, you're wrong. For claiming that you are open-minded and tolerant, and then spitting upon the one thing you don't understand does not make you tolerant. It makes you a hypocrite, and your 15 minutes are up. All went quiet. Then just recently, after making a big stir playing Foxy in the Five Nights at Freddy audio posts, they came back and then comment that they don't approve of my participation in the fandom and had the audacity of comparing their involvement with the My Little Pony fandom as a reference. You don't see us acting like you do you? Time for another logic bomb. I am not them, nor they me, so I can do whatever the fuck I want. I don't give them shit for their involvement in the My Little Pony fandom, so why this intolerable hatred? These people are a joke to me and always will be. Tolerant people, my ass. Say you make a mistake, and you admit that you make a mistake. I know, foreign concept for most, but stay with me here. Someone has said, you did something wrong, leaving not much explanation as to what you did wrong. Would you ask what you did wrong, or would you just roll over and take it up the ass? For some, rolling over is commonplace. For me, nope, not gonna happen, Charlie. If I did something wrong, you bet your sweet ass I'm gonna find out exactly what I did wrong. And if it's unclear what I did wrong, I'm going to make absolutely sure that I fully understand what I did wrong so that it doesn't happen again. Makes perfect sense, right? Well, some people have it in their heads that when you ask questions, that means you are challenging their authority. Quite the opposite. It means you want to understand their authority. If so-and-so has set some rules, and I ask a question about those rules, I am not challenging their authority. I don't even know how this gets started, but every goddamn time, my parents did this, as did teachers, police, managers, bosses, everyone has pulled the same bullshit, that if I ask questions, then I am disobedient and a troublemaker. What it really is an ego thing. Someone just doesn't do what they say and, ooh, watch out, Jimmy, you're causing trouble. Well, am I still doing what I got in trouble for in the first place? No. Am I disagreeing with everything you are telling me when I ask why? No. I am just asking why. If you set down a rule and it is not fully apparent what the rule means, I'm going to raise my hand and ask why. I have no intention of breaking the rule. I have no intention of undermining your authority. I have no intention of dating your daughter. I just want to understand this rule you have laid before me. I want to understand why you have this rule in place. And if I understand why these things are the way they are, the more likely I am to obey them without further issue. But unfortunately, it rarely gets that far. Case in point, I was in a chat room and I didn't fully understand one of the rules. I was reprimanded for violating it, and after the punishment was dealt out, I asked questions about it. I received notification after I left that I was being considered for a permanent ban because I was blatantly undermining so-and-so's authority. It's not like it's going to be an issue in the future. What we were doing wasn't that exciting to me, and I mainly use it as background noise anyway, but the principle of the matter, I have some other suspicions about what really went on in there, but I have no proof, so I cannot pursue them. All I wanted to do was make absolutely sure that I wouldn't violate the rules ever again, and I felt that my natural curiosity was under attack because I did not understand what happened. The forces of inquiry were confused with the forces of anarchy, and that is how it's always been seen. Humans are a naturally inquisitive species. That's how we find out answers to everything. We start off when we're 2 years old. Why is the sky blue? Why is the sun hot? How does the TV work? We ask these questions because of our desire to learn. Now, you can treat these questions two different ways. You can encourage them by answering as much as you can, or you can see their quest for knowledge as a threat. Don't believe me? Ever hear your parents say the phrase, "because I said so"? No? Wow, what a glorious universe you must live in. I don't know about you, but that excuse never flew with me. I was all about finding out why. Why this? Why that? Why do you think the way you do? Why do you do the things you do? Why do you put these rules into place? It's all about understanding one another. I honestly believe this goes hand in hand with the open-mindedness point that I made earlier. People ask for tolerance. People protest for tolerance. People riot because of intolerance. People just want to be understood. It's a natural need to be understood because when you are understood, you are accepted. Not necessarily agreed with, but your opinion has been deemed valid. That is something everyone on the face of the planet wants. Simply to be accepted as a human being with dreams and goals and ideas and opinions. We don't need to be right all the time. We just need to be validated. So we have this general need to be accepted. Well, how do we do that? It's easier than you think. We do research. Well, here's this guy that has these opinions that I think are truly horrible, but I bet if we found out more about this guy, I will understand why he has these opinions. So how do we understand why? We ask questions! The answers aren't just gonna come to us in some biblical carried down from up on high miracle. You have to do the legwork. You have to read the literature. You have to ask questions. So what I just experienced is a paradox of what the fuck-itis. People naturally have a need to be accepted. But when you ask questions to understand them more, you are chastised for asking questions. Therefore, you know even less than you know now because these idiots just threw in another series of questions that you now wish to know why about, and the retarded spiral just keeps going and going until you are left with a brain full of Cool Whip and tend to wet the bed. How the fuck are we going to get to that level of understanding and tolerance when you stop me at every fucking turn? You made a rule. I don't get it. Just explain it and I'll be on my merry fucking way. I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong. It's your chat room. You have every right to make up the rules you want. Just be prepared to answer questions if people start asking. Hey, why is there a rule that you can only end each sentence in a preposition?
Because that's the type of mentality I'm used to dealing with.
If you've stuck around this long, I want to thank you for letting me air out my grievances. And believe me, I got lots of them. So I'll just close out with the usual. It doesn't matter what your religion is. I think we can all believe that treat others as you wish to be treated is a pretty decent rule to live by. So why don't we all just stop the fighting and just treat others the way we would like to be treated? You can never have too much of a good thing. Unless it's beer, then drink responsibly. I like to look at all my friends and fans as younger brothers and sisters. I'm not yelling simply to yell. I just don't want you to make the same mistakes I have, so if I go off on you individually, it's because I see you're about to hit that point where you're going to turn into me, and we can't have any more Murphys. Believe me, the world can barely tolerate one. If you missed any of this Mad Murphy issue, the transcript will be posted on WellHey.com, so stop on by and enjoy the insanity. If you have a suggestion of a topic you'd like to hear my opinion about, you can let me know in the comments or at wellhey.com/contact. As always, you can catch me and say hi on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and YouTube. This is Murphy 1976 of WellHey Productions, where we bring you colorful insanity to your drab, uneventful lives.